Hello, once again, welcome back to the Bayou City Network, and we're here once again with the Orange and Blueprints. A little bit change to the schedule. I know usually we do on Wednesdays, so you'll be hearing on Thursdays, but we're doing today on Tuesday night, so you'll be here on Wednesday just because with Dynamo playing tomorrow and a lot of the crew people going to cover over there, so we kind of decided to push this a little bit earlier. But here, once again, Manny and one of the guys who's going for tomorrow for the Dynamo, my co-host Diego. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm good. We were talking about it before the show started that I was supposed to be at a certain game, and maybe this is why we lost. But we're not going to talk about that. I was out sick, and thankfully I'm feeling a lot better and feeling a lot happier and more optimistic to talk some dash because that weekend game was. I didn't feel like I was the sick one when I was watching that one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was. I was there live, and it was something else. But that game was a roller coaster, and not for the right reasons.
Mhm. No, I mean I
But
don't.
yeah, but I know Diego's just speechless. That's all I think he has. But today we're going to talk about that game, the Houston Dash versus Portland. Talk about the
Mhm.
call ups that the some of the Dash players will get during next week's international call games, and then of course the preview against Bay FC.
Mhm.
Without further ado, let's just rip the band-aid. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Houston Dash lost to the Portland Thorns with a scoreline 4-1. Most of the goals came in before the half, within the span of 2-3 minutes. The Portland was up by 2-0 within the 26th and the 30th minute, and then literally just before the halftime whistle, Portland got a penalty, was converted by Sam Coffey, and then of course they went up after the break, went up 4-0, and then until almost the 75th minute was when the Houston Dash scored back with an own goal after by Michelle Lozzi. I think I think we just want to know your overall thoughts, Diego, about the game.
I mean, I think this is one of our poorest performances. I think there's not really much else to say besides that. I think the midfield was especially poor. We weren't really able to string together many passes. Delaney Sheehan, somebody that I typically point to and say has very consistently good performances. Well, I felt like wasn't on her best foot forward. Um, Another player that I just felt like wasn't necessarily hitting her stride was Westfall on the flank down defensively. I think that she was having a hard time, but I honestly think this was just kind of a game where it was like when the first one came in, it was like the dam opening. Um, it's very similarly to the Houston game against Seattle. I saw a very quick trend happen within this dash game where it was we started with somewhat of a good energy. We started with some semblance of how we wanted to play, and then the first goal came in minute 26, and everything kind of fell apart. And our passes weren't getting to where they needed to be. Transitionally, we weren't tracking back quick enough, and that's a gold mine for a team like Portland who plays under a speedy system, who likes getting players um, like Hanks, like I do, like underneath these different runs. And I mean, when your team can't necessarily recover from a like a transitional play like that, then you're going to start giving up fouls. You're going to start giving up penalties. Look at Coffee's conversion right before the half. I mean, these are issues that happen because you're not able to adapt to the team in front of you. And I think that first goal kind of like completely shifted the game towards Portland, and Houston weren't really able to really reclaim that.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll talk about humans, but I think overall thoughts, it was just purely. I think the first 20 minutes was solid. Both teams were canceling each other out. It was really good defensive, but until that 20th minute, minute hit, it just feels like Portland just, gotten behind a dash and just the floodgates open. I think I just want to get your point of view. I know some players underperform.
Mhm.
Westfall. I think for me it was Ryan Garris. Got Ryan
Mhm.
Garris was like I didn't know she was playing at a certain point. Because it was
Mhm.
so like not. And of course, she had it for. I think what surprised me the most is like this was basically Houston's dash almost strongest 11 minus Jasmine Ryan, who's been out, and against an almost makeshift Portland. Portland rested a lot of players for this
Mhm.
game because of tomorrow's midweek game against I think America for the women's CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Mhm.
So they rested a lot of players. Or basically, the Dash was playing the strongest Dash 11 was minus Jasmine versus Portland's bench, and Portland swept, the Dash like it was no contest. How do
Mhm.
you view with that in mind that a team's bench players can beat your starting 11? Is it just because of skill, preparation, or is it something more?
Well, I think it is like to a huge factor skill. There's a reason why this Portland side is fighting in the semifinals of the women's Concacaf Champions Cup. I mean, one, what a tournament it is. I'm so happy to have seen it in person, but and it really shows the levels of competition that Portland has from player number one, which could arguably be Sophie Wilson, to player 100 that is that in the depths of the bench. I think talking a little bit more about the dash side, however, I want to address this might be the best XI as you characterize, but it's also one of the youngest XIs. You all across the starting 11, and all across the field throughout the game, you see players that don't necessarily have all the experience in the world. You see Avery Patterson, who, as elite as she is, she's still figuring things out. As Maggie Graham grows into the player that she is, she's gonna keep learning. She's gonna keep having her moments of brilliance, but also her moments of dullness, of uninspiration, and we have to be okay with that. Messiah Bright, a striker that necessarily hasn't really made her mark since coming from Angel City. Besides a couple of assists, I think again a player that you have to see grow and get into her play style. Barb, we know she's been a staple of this team for a while now, but I believe she's only what 26.
Yeah, I think she's 23 actually.
23. Boom. And the one that is 26 years old is Delaney Sheehan. And for someone that is viewed as like a veteran presence in this lineup that has a myriad of championship experience, for her to only be 26, I think this might be the best Dash starting 11, but it's certainly also the youngest, and we have to understand that context. And so, I mean, I'm not too butthurt that we lost this game. I think we are in a league where two good results in a row will get you into the playoffs, and we're still at that grasp. I think we need to kind of refresh from this, block this out of our memory, kind of just be like, okay, this happened, whatever, and go into Bay FC looking to win 4, 5, 6-0, trying to give everything that you have to come back from this effort, because I think it would be honestly a little unacceptable to come out of this two-game homestand with 0 points.
Yeah, exactly. I think as well, it doesn't remind me, even though I think mentioned we're talking with Dio last week, this Thorns maybe not be the best Thorns, but it's still getting results, even though some controversial stuff, the penalties, Thorns are leading the league of getting penalties and converting them. So maybe people, even Fabrice was like the league should look into it, but it is what it is. It's a skill. Game penalties is still something. It's skill. That the Dynamo, what was it, 2 seasons ago, were getting penalties like crazy. It
Mhm.
happens. It happens. But I think other than that, other than the penalty, you couldn't control. at least two or three of the goals. So
Mhm.
it's just up to. I think one thing that jumps up to me was Fabrice keeps mentioning the mentality. The mentality. We need to have the right mentality off the gate. Off the gate, and it feels like this is more. There's more than one instance that the Dash has not show that mentality off the gate. They seem slow, and I think, like you mentioned, Diego, you spot on. It's a young team, a team that's still finding itself at the end of the day, still finding itself under a new coach, under a new regime, under new group sets of players. So I think the mentality is there, but the problem is like they don't know how to work with each other and get that, 100% on. They I think feel like they grew confidence as they
Mhm.
grow, as the game grows, and so if they, the confidence is shot down, I think that's you can see that that's a detriment on the team. So that's pretty much it. But and since I have you on, since you were here last week, how do you view the Abby Smith experiment? It's the first game, basically her best game in the dash, and this game is basically one of the worst.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a flip of a coin. You think it's time to continue as goal or go back to Jane Campbell? I think her time in the bench may have sparked her
Yeah.
to come back.
I mean, I think it's time to bring Jane back, but that's no discredit to Abby Smith as a goalkeeper. I think she was great. I think her game was outstanding. Um, uh, not this one, but the previous match, and I think this one she conceded 4 goals. But like, I mean, I'm not gonna pinpoint all of them to be her fault. I mean, it's not necessarily a goalkeeper's fault that your team can't, adapt to transition offensive moments and counter-attacking play. Um, I mean, saving a penalty is tough in any league, in any environment. So, I mean, I think that's gonna be a given for me not to, you know, blame her on that. But I think it is time to, see um, Jane back into the goal because of how I feel like her experience can really help rally this team around. I very vividly know how Jane operates between the sticks, and I know that she's always vocal. She's always commanding the defense, commanding the back line, being very apparent, being very communicative. I think that part of Jane's game is the reason why I felt like she's been one of the best goalkeepers in the league for so long. And Abby Smith, I don't feel like she necessarily has that just yet. So maybe that'll help patch some things up for the back line. But I do feel like the experiment might be over.
Yeah, I do believe so. I think the main experiment was just to, I think, give light under her fire, just
Hmm.
light on the fire her up, because I think like Fabrice has done this so many times, not just with Jane Campbell, Barbara Olivieri, players like, well, we haven't seen like, I think Diana Ordonez, but we haven't seen much of her. We'll talk about her later, but I think trying to get a spark out of these players, to
Hmm.
motivate them, like, okay, your position is not set on stone. I think Jane was probably the only player maybe on this roster that was set on stone, but I
Hmm.
think I think maybe a break would have helped her to, I think, just to have a fresh start, because she had a poor start of the season. Maybe not entirely up to her, but she didn't contribute. With some of the
Hmm.
stats. I think the stat, what was the post shot post shot per goal stat. I think she was like the third least on in the, the bottom three in the NWSL. So I think that was only contribute to the goalkeeper's effort. So it's a stat that you need to look at and to evaluate. Okay, Jane is not having a good start of the season, but I think with this time on the bench, it could spark her to grow more confidence of, okay, I need to get this position back, and
Hmm.
and we'll hopefully see with that. But I think coming back to a little bit more of the squad, of course, Kiki, her first minutes back with the dash. I think it's good to see her. I think she's been back for almost about, say, a month, ever since
Hmm.
the last international break. But now she has her first minutes, and then of course Messiah Bright still as the forward. I think at the moment the only forward for the dash. I think my last question for you about this game,
Hmm.
uh, you think this team, I think this was the first game without Yasmin Ryan. You know,
Hmm.
it's I think it's hard to say this question because I think, of course, if I say this, like, is the Jazz team worse without Ryan? I think the answer
Hmm.
is yes, because of course, who is worse without their star player? But I think as it become more evident, like, okay, without Yasmin Ryan, there's no attacking threat in the front line.
I think so. I don't think it's as easy of a question as it originally seems, because when you ask the question, is your offense worse when you have your best or arguably your best offensive player out? The answer is obviously going to be yes. But when you look at players like Michelle Alozie, who, I mean, she basically notched a goal at this point. I know.
Technically, it's all technically it's an own goal because I don't think the ball was going. I think the ball was going way wide until it hit the defender and went in.
Yeah, but like, is that like an own goal? Like,
I think if it was going directly at goal and got deflection, it will
hmm,
go to you. But most likely own goals,
hmm,
either the defender hit it, the goalkeeper hit it, or the shot was going way wide and hit
hmm.
the defender and it went in. So that's the only reasons I see own goal. So I think it was the last one for
Well,
Alozie.
whether, however much involvement she had in the goal, I'll just put it that way. She should. It's so funny. It's so funny to me that out of every player who could have scored in that game, just so happened to be her with that way. I would have loved to see her, curl in a banger, but that it wasn't in the cards, I guess. But um, however much involvement she had in that goal, I think it is telling that like those kinds of goals are the only things that we're able to really produce out of these games. And when you have teams like Portland who will score on you whether you really like it or not, and they'll outpace you, out dribble you. You need to score the 3 or 4 chances that you're going to get during the game. And well, I mean, it's really tough when your best creator isn't there. Yaz hasn't necessarily been as effective on the scoring opportunities, but she's been extremely effective in creating those opportunities. So I think when you lose that, you lose a dimension of your game that is almost invaluable. It's like you can't take that away because then, I mean, you don't see Maggie Graham taking in that creative position. You don't see Barb, making those runs, creating those through balls. You don't see Messiah Bright dropping back and pushing the ball forward and pushing the tempo forward. These are all players that benefit with having the ball and then doing something with it. No, Yaz is a player that has benefited so much with, okay, I have the ball. What am I going to do with it? Instead of I'm going to get the ball. So I think that kind of like creative dynamicism, I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but that like especially creativity on the ball is especially important for this dash side because there's often times during these games 3, maybe 4, 5 if we're lucky chances, real chances to score. And I think without Yaz, we certainly miss a big dimension of what that offense looked like.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, if you miss your best players like Manchester City missing Erling Haaland, or Arsenal missing Martin Odegaard, someone who's gonna make an impact on your attack. Of course, it's gonna be like, okay, we're missing that one key player. But I think the root of all is like, okay, without Yasmin Ryan, like, is that does the other players like you mentioned effective? Barb, it feels like she's more like a super sub, I think, because I feel like she makes more impact coming off the bench than starting. I think she has more energy, more of the grit that needed for like a second
Mhm,
half sub to get grind out a result or get a result, because I think she provides that more when she's off the
mhm,
bench. Messiah Bright, I think, like you say, she plays more deeply. She does not really get into scoring chances. I think
Mhm.
you will like, and of course, Maggie Graham is running everywhere on that, interchanging with Avery Patterson on that wing. So it's like it feels like she's providing more support than being in the attack. And so it's like, okay, of course, with Diana Ordonez, I think, I think that's the bigger question. I think, two games in a row with an excuse absence. I think that's just gives a lot of question marks. I know about her future and everything because it's like, okay, you've been back and then you only play like almost like less than 20 minutes. About almost. Well, no, I'm like about 50 minutes. That's like she played one full half, and that's pretty much it. And some subs and have two excuse habits, and in a row is like, okay, like what's going on?
Mhm.
I feel like. Do you feel like? I think with let me hit that with you. I know you said not. I think the previous podcast like not to worry, Diana's okay, but I think her missing these two matches. You think that's now a red alarm that something's we're this is the time to move on for her.
Ah, I think we're getting closer to that point. I mean, I'm a big believer in Fabrice's mentality of anybody can come in and make an impact. I think he'll still hold that true, and I think if Diana still has the quality to make that impact, then I don't see why she can't just come in, make that impact. Like I don't see why she can't come in the Bay FC game and notch in a goal or two.
Yeah,
The, but the problem is we need to see that actually happening. I need to stop speaking in platitudes and start looking at what's actually been going on. I can't be I can't be myself as like a either fan or journalist or whatever looking at Deanna as a person and being like, okay, she's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna work. But then I don't see her play over the weekend. I I think it's just as important to get minutes, and I truly believe that yeah, I get it. If you're on the field and you're not scoring, yeah, well half of this team isn't scoring. So like I know you're the designated number nine, but I get it. You're not getting fed the way that you want it. You're isolated in the box. I get it. But
yeah,
when you're not on the field, that's when the problems start to rise.
yeah,
I think whatever is going on with her personally, I'm not gonna meddle. I am not gonna even put my mind and thoughts into what's going on there. I just hope for her being okay, her being good. The personal reasons, it could be something really really good, something really really bad. We don't know, and to a huge degree, it's maybe for the best that we don't necessarily meddle into her life, especially when she already has the infinite amount of pressure to score to be a big part of this team. So I think it's not the time to say that she's her time with the dash is completely done, but it is I think time to getting to a point where we can confidently say that she's not going to be our starting number 9.
yeah. I think so too. I think it's been evident, even when she's available, or off the bench available, or even just available in period. Fabrice would like to go with Yasmin Ryan, and
Hmm.
then go with either that or Yasmin Ryan as a striker or Messiah Bright as a striker and switch them, back and forth rather
Hmm.
than putting uh, Diana Ordonez up top. But it is what it is. Hopefully, if she's not our starting now, hopefully in the summer, the Dash could bring us a striker in.
What
But
what type of striker would you want ideally? Like we don't have to put names onto it, but like what type of striker would you ideally want in this Fabrice system? That's my question to you.
I think with this Fabrice setup, I think someone like a better upgrade than Messiah Bright.
Hmm.
Someone who is quick, someone who likes to drop back to provide support. But I think we're missing some Messiah Bright. is that she plays too deep and doesn't get herself back to the
Hmm.
attacking to make herself available for
Hmm.
scoring opportunities. I think someone who he can do that, but is more effective in that way, or make yourself like find the pockets of space to get that. I think having someone like Deanna, almost like a target striker, doesn't
Hmm.
work in this system. I feel like it hinders the players that you have in the system that you have, so it shouldn't go. But I think someone like that, or even I don't know, a poacher that will do. But I think it's some more questions of I think it's like, okay, what type of striker you could get, but is it the new striker gonna change the system or integrate into the system that we have? So I think it's a if we're gonna stick with this system, I think someone better than an upgrade version of Messiah Bright will be
Hmm.
better. But if we're trying to change the system, I think with something like a poacher will be a great something that will be quick on the ball, fast, just to get to the score line and shoot. But
Hmm.
I think it's really up to what Fabrice wants. But what do you think? What do you will be the best
I
type of
mean,
strike?
I'm leaning towards your first option because I feel like switching the system at this point of the Fabrice project would be utterly ridiculous, and I don't need to see some more of the Dash front office circus tricks. I don't need to see more of that. We're finally getting to a point where we see consistent systems being put in place, whether it be through the coaching, through the play style, through the types of players that we scout. All of these kinds of things are finally lining up. And I think getting a player that is quick on the ball, technical, dribbles, kind of works through transitional play instead of like box to box poaching. I think a player like that would benefit a lot with Fabrice's system. I wouldn't necessarily say an upgraded version of Messiah Bright because again, I feel like Bright sometimes gets a little too deep into like a false nine role,
Hmm.
where she's used to play forward. But I feel like potentially we can. I would love to see Bright being used as an attacking midfielder again. I think she would benefit a lot in
Yeah,
that position. I feel like she naturally gravitates to it. I feel like an Esther Gonzalez type player, somebody that's quick, technical on the ball, can make these 1-2 quick movements. I feel
hmm,
like that kind of player is something that I would love to see on this Dash team. And I don't think we're gonna go out and sign Esther Gonzalez. Like I know I made like a huge claim that we're gonna go sign Sam Kerr like 5 episodes ago, but a player of her speed, of her play style, I feel like would benefit Fabrice's system because I feel like Fabrice has kind of identified the way that he wants to play, and that's on the ball, possession play, build up from the back, slowly, methodically, passing, almost tiki taka esque, but not necessarily because they do focus a little more on lateral balls and moving it forward a little quicker. But it's that kind of possession, technical, like kind of like slow game that Fabrice kind of wants to play. I feel like benefits like an Esther Gonzalez type striker, which is very patient on the ball, can really like help push the game forward. But when the game is forward, she's there poaching. She's
yeah,
there with the technical ability in and outside the box to really get it in anywhere. And so I think that would be like a pitch perfect right there
yeah,
addition. Like like that would be like the dream type signing, a player of her skill type to get influenced and get ingrained into this Dash team.
yeah. I think so too. I think I think it's just. I think without going into speculation, it's like, okay, who will be that perfect fit? I think that would be the main question of the day. But I think we just have to leave to the scouting team and see what players will be available for that, either in Europe or South America. We'll see what I don't think it will be anyone locally like an NWSL team player. I think it will be someone from out there, but overseas. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes and see how is that. I think the only thing other than that is that with this loss, the Dash drops down to 12th place with 10 points. Still 2 points miraculously away from the playoff position. So that's a positive spin to this
Hmm.
week. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see with that. But moving forward a little bit, the Dash had three players called up for the international window that starts next weekend. So
Hmm.
international for USA will be Avery Patterson. For Mexico, Diana Ordonez. And for Jamaica, it will be Kiki Van Zanten. Interestingly, on the last matchup for the international window on June 3rd, USA will face Jamaica. So
Hmm.
we might see Avery Patterson versus Kiki on that matchup. Anything of note for this? I know Jane Campbell hasn't been called. I know it's taking her place is Claudia Dickey from Seattle
Hmm.
Reign. Again, her first call up. So she took Jane Campbell's position on that. And of course, Yasmin Ryan, because of her injury, she's not been called up for
Hmm.
this U.S. camp. Anything of worth knowing of these players getting their call ups?
I mean, I think this should be taken as just a confidence booster. I mean, if you're Diana, you haven't played for the past two games for the Dash, and when you have been active and available, you've been barely on the field because of tactical decisions. I mean, this is your chance to really kind of either either regain it or improve on that scoring confidence, because I think Mexico is a pretty well built team. I think so like a lot of their players like Diana Garcia, like Maria Sanchez, who, I mean, you can say all you want about Maria Sanchez, but she's the type of player that likes to drive it forward and cross it in the box, I think, or skill it and cut inside. But that is becoming rarer and rarer for her standards. But I think when you see this Mexico squad, you really see a team that can benefit Diana, and so I think that if she touches the field, she's going to make a pretty big impact, and I think she's going to have a good game. Uh, Avery getting called up, that's not a surprise. She's been great. Emma Hayes loves her. I think this like every single like sports movie in the history of sports movies, this kid's got a bright future. Like that same old grizzled coach, like I like this kid. It's got a lot of promise in him. I'm like, all right, okay, I've seen this before. Okay, but I mean, Kiki. We haven't really seen much of Kiki with the Dash, but I mean that's not through her own fault because of injury. This is another chance for her to show herself what she's made out of, what she can offer. I mean, we're seeing bit by bit these players that don't necessarily get too much playing time get an opportunity, but we know Fabrice is high on her, so maybe tune into that Jamaica match to see, what we can see out of her. We know she's quick, we know she's technical on the ball, but we can maybe see some physicality. We can maybe see a little bit about like how she likes moving the ball. We know that Ryan, a player that is not a part of this conversation, it has been really adjusted in her position ever since coming to the Dash. So maybe we see some of that. But I think the two players to really watch for this window is going to be Avery for representing the U.S., which is one of the biggest achievements that you can do for a player in the NWSL, if you're American at least. And also Kiki, see what she if she gets on the field, she will see what she does, see how she moves, how she affects the game on and off the ball, and I think it'll give us a clue on how she'll fit in on the Dash.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be the only two. I know Diana has a good call up, which is good, but I think it's safe to say that we're to move past her at this point. But I
Hmm.
think I think well, US for USA, Avery Patterson. Hopefully, she doesn't get another injury like last time. So that's the
Hmm.
only thing why I'm watching that. And also, and of course, they're rocking the new jerseys. So hopefully,
Hmm.
hopefully we see Avery in that
I'll be
pinstripe.
honest, I wasn't a big fan of the jerseys.
I like the pinstripe. I like the pinstripe, the black blue one. That that
Not a
that
big, not a big fan, man.
It's different. I like it. I like it. It's different. It's different.
I don't know. I'm
Man,
not a big fan. I'm
man.
not-
But I was like when I saw the new Nike jersey, like, is this Adidas or is this
Yeah.
actually Nike? Is this actually Nike? I was like, Nike showing up finally. I feel like Nike was playing low ball for these jerseys,
So
but
they tried. I'll give it to them. They tried, but I'm not a big fan of them. I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest.
I feel like years past they just put whatever paint on
Yeah.
the jerseys and sell them. But now I think they tried. I kind of like that they tried and it's different. I
Yeah.
like.
I appreciate that it's different. I will
Yeah,
agree with you, but I'm not a fan of it. Still not a fan of it.
yeah. But
This might be my Mexico fan in me, but I don't like it.
yeah, but I like the other jerseys. England, Brazil looks nice. Brazil looks
Brazil
clean.
ones are so nice.
And then
I want them.
I think the France one looks nice. The France home,
Let me
but
see the France one.
I think other than that, okay. And then also Kiki, I think for sure. I think if Ryan Garris still has a game like those that she's very ineffective, you
Hmm.
will see her and hopefully maybe Kiki or even Evelina Dujon taking her place if she is starting to dip and start to go down in confidence, and or we could see I haven't seen Fabrice, maybe put Westfall there on the wing and put Paige Nielsen back in the back line. But so many options for the dash, so many like players, that could fit in. But we'll see. We'll see. I think for me, hopefully, every and Kiki can have minutes and get fitness and during this international break so that they could be ready for the next match and dash.
Hmm.
So and talk about the next match. Hey, we got Houston Dash and the Bay FC this Saturday at 4 p.m. at the Shell Energy Stadium, where Diego's going to make his first Dash appearance.
Finally, heavens have opened. I will be there, which is so nice. I'll finally get to see Fabrice in person.
Fabrice, the Breeze, Fabrice. I'm joking.
Fabrice.
But
Probably- that's how his ball. That's how his head is probably looked like.
but it's gonna be an interesting game. I think for me it's gonna be an interesting game to see. I think because um, Bay FC is kind of like on the same route
Mhm.
as a Dash. The only main difference is that Bay FC won last weekend 2-0 against an Angel FC, City FC that has been lightning hot. So they
Yeah.
won. So that was interesting to see how they pulled it off. But it's just how the league is, how the goes. But it's a good result for them. And then it has without their main players like Ashwala, starting, and of course, Kunanaji,
Hmm.
was starting on that game. But it was a good result for them. So hopefully, we'll see what the Dash has to pull up. They're both around the same position. The Dash in 10th and no, the Dash in 12th and Bay FC at 10th. Only 1 point separates the both of them. So basically, a win will help their boosting confidence going up the table.
Hmm.
But I think, how do you view how this game's going to turn out?
I mean, I think this is going to be a really dangerous game, but I think it really depends on how Houston want to bring the ball up offensively. I think if they're going to be as sluggish as they normally have been, I don't see a win coming. Bay FC has been necessarily a team that I felt that has really struggled when the game is slowed down. And so I feel like if the Dash are careful, concise with their passes, and really sticking to that possession style, I feel like they'll be just fine. But they cannot. The Dash cannot afford to see this game go quick.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I think it all depends as well availability of the players. Hopefully
Hmm.
Yasmin Ryan it's back on questionable instead of
Hmm.
on out, and so hopefully she has a chance to play. I think the Dash will need her in this game. Hopefully, the defensive mistakes be rectified. You know, I feel
Mhm.
like we've gone away from that shaky, you know, defense, and then got real solid, especially during the Seattle game. Rock
Mhm.
solid, crazy, great defensive effort, and then this past game with Portland, just psh, everything went
Mhm.
back to the same shaky defense, and hopefully, this defense they can correct the wrongs, get the mentality. I think it's a mostly mentality issue of
Mhm.
defending that they were lacked of, but hopefully get that back on track and make sure that they get the 3 points with AFC. I think it's going to be hopefully it's going to be a good matchup. Hopefully they continue with that defensive and keep that structure. I think solid, and hopefully players like Sheehan and Maggie and Ryan Garris. Hopefully last weekend was only an off game, and then be back in this game to do to get a result. So with that
Yeah,
in mind, Diego, go ahead. We were about to say something.
I'm sure. I'm sure they'll be fine. I think like their performances. I feel like yes, they were bad, but it's nothing to overreact about. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think a player. I think when it hurts you the most is when I think when all your players are not you're switched off. I
Yeah.
think was one when one player switched off, it's kind of not easy to carry them, but easy to maneuver and try to get a result. But when multiple
Yeah.
players are switched off and not producing, that's when you hit the team hinders on that. All
Hmm.
right, with that in mind, your predictions for tonight's game. How do you view that? I mean tonight, man. I'm saying, man. I'm already
Man,
thinking it's on Saturday's game. On Saturday's game.
Saturday afternoon, not even night.
Well, it's gonna be night by the time the final whistle hits.
It'll be evening, bro. It'll be like what, 6 p.m.
6:15. I bet you we'll have a lot of. Well, because it's gonna go about 6:15 because it's during the day hydration breaks. It's over 90 degrees.
Yeah, but like at latest, we'll get out of there by like 7.
Ye- Yeah, yeah, the game and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, with the game. So it's like it'll be evening. Like
All right, Mister Afternoon Evening. What do you think about that seven evening?
I just wanted to buy myself some more time. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm in a good mood. I'll be there, and I don't think they're gonna ruin it for me. 1-0 dash win.
Maggie scoring?
Yeah, you
I,
know.
I think if Ryan's not there, I think Maggie will be the only one. I could see like she's the only one.
She's
That
gonna she's gonna score out of the box bicycle kick.
goal of the week
Huh? Goal of the
the
everything, and
season.
then she's gonna celebrate pointing right at me in my camera.
Oh,
That's how it's gonna go down.
nah, I think 1-1 draw.
Okay, okay, that's fair. I just look with AFC and how much they've struggled when the game slows down. If the game slows down, I don't see them scoring or having
Yeah,
real.
exactly.
If they're quick on the ball, dynamic, that's where their attackers really start to bite. And so I think this game will go one of two ways. The Dash will either have a Seattle-esque match where they really control the possession and dominate defensively, or they're getting whooped 4-0. Like I think this has been I mean I think this Dash team has been a tale of two cities, and I think we're about to see which tale they want to be a part of.
Exactly. I think it's gonna show like okay, you have another opposition like we always mention. You're facing another opposition that's near you, that's near around your area. So ideally, you want to get the better of them. Ideally, you want to see the growth that you have done over this past off season. But I feel like time and time again is like you be one of the opposition, but the next time you face them, you lose them. You're kind of stuck back and forth in the same position and never going
Mhm.
out the table. But hopefully, this is just a win. Hopefully, they get a result, but we'll have to see. Time will tell on Saturday. It's gonna be an interesting game. Diego will be there live. He'll give you the post game side on pitch side analysis.
Yes, sir. I'll be there with my Bayou City Soccer mic. So, welcome back, everybody. We are here at the post game Piensamentos. I am your host, Diego Martinez Reyes,
Yeah,
and Stacks
you
and that. Hopefully, it's not sad Maggie Graham and sad Avery Patterson just walking past me.
yeah,
But
and San Diego.
hey, guys, welcome back to another episode.
Yeah, but
So
hopefully,
we kind of
well,
lost.
yeah, just hopefully they get a result and hopefully it's not that bad.
Praying on it.
But
I'm praying.
but we'll see. We won't know until next weekend. Hopefully, we'll be with that. We'll see that. But thank you all for joining us again for another Orange and Blueprints. We'd like to thank our sponsors for helping us ugly guppy, Elos Bravos, and We Got Soccer for allowing us to do these podcasts and everything and giving us support. But always remember to always reach out for look out for us on biocitysoccer.net on our website and also our social media with BioCity Soccer on X, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky. I'm trying to name everything off my top of my head, but I'm like, that's
X.
pretty much. And thread, I say X already.
Oh, okay.
What's about that X? Ah. Uh, but uh, but any closing thoughts, Diego, before we leave?
No, none from me. I'm just happy to be back. I'm happy to finally go to the stadium, and I really really hope that I do not get sick again.
Yeah, but hopefully it's just a one-off thing, and hopefully you'll be ready to go for a Saturday. But thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully next podcast, we'll talk about that review about that game, and hopefully what we're looking forward for the international break and what matchups you should be looking over. I think that'll be a good time as well to talk about our thoughts about we're past the 1/3 mark of the season and see
Mhm.
what Diego feels about his prediction so far. All right.
Pretty bold ones, pretty bold ones. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.